Hello. Sorry if this is a little. Hi there and happy Monday. It is Alexis Glick, the CEO of Gen Youth, and I am so excited to be with you here today to introduce you to someone who truly is working on the front lines, doing amazing work to help support our kids, and that is a school nutrition director who actually is located just outside of Georgia and has seen arguably the real impact of what COVID is doing to our kids and hunger in schools across America, and in particularly in this one community. But this woman's resume is simply remarkable. Aside from the fact that most importantly, she has testified in front of Congress on school nutrition standards, in front of the House of Representatives on the Farm to School bill. She was also the former president of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. And oh my goodness, if I read the list of accolades that this woman, Donna Martin, Dr. Donna Martin, I should say, has, it is just simply remarkable. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce you guys to the one who is running the school nutrition program in Burke County in Georgia, and get a little sense of what this Nutrition Month, School Breakfast Week, all these things mean to her and her schools. So let me bring her in. There she is. And hopefully this is going to work. Fingers crossed. Because it's all about our kids' nutrition and how we are helping them battle right now what is still the remaining forces of hunger. And hopefully I'm going to make sure, forgive me, I'm making sure all of the devices with my team texting me, their Wi-Fi is off, because we have always Wi-Fi issues in homes these days. Even though I'm down to one kid who's doing remote learning, the rest are all over. Okay, it did not work. So hold on again. Forgive me. We're trying to get Donna in, and let me just try it again. Sorry, guys. Bear with us. We're about to, here she is. I'm going to try her again. I'm sending her the request. Let's see if that works. In any event, we're doing this in part because we are going to be hosting oh, there she is. Yay. How are you?
Great. Can you see me okay?
I can. Don't worry. I was just literally saying that technology, I mean, forget it. You know, I mean, technology today, you know, I half the time you can't connect because everybody's on broadband, everybody's on Wi-Fi. It's like, what's
right.
available? Can you give me a little piece of the action?
In this county that we have 40% of our kids have zero access to Wi-Fi or broadband or anything, 40%. So doing distance learning is a real problem for them.
Oh, I can imagine. You know, I mean, look, you know, Donna, I look at your resume and I look at your background. No, honestly, I mean, you're unbelievable. You know, you receive your master's in clinical nutrition from UAB. Dr. Selwyn Vickers, who runs UAB, is a board member and a dear friend. You know him well. But just if I look at what you've done around the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, you know, just the accolades and recognition and what you've done in Burke County Public Schools, you are truly the example of the front line, seeing it all, understanding what COVID has done. It's 1 year. Just give me immediate reflections on what this was like a year ago and how you feel today.
Well, it has been the most challenging year of my life, hands down. I never dreamed March 17th started with this pandemic, what this year was going to be like. We thought
Now, I can't hear Donna, and I don't know if you guys can, because she's frozen right now. Forgive me. I'm sorry. Okay, I did lose her. Okay, I wasn't sure there. Okay, I did lose Donna. By the way, before I bring Donna back in, and I feel for her because she heard what she just said. 40% of the kids in her area in Burke County, Georgia, do not have access to Wi-Fi, broadband, etc. And they went into remote learning on March 17th a year ago. So imagine the consequences for kids' ability to learn in her area. But as I was saying, she was the former president of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, but she served on not only as treasurer, as president, but her work has been recognized by Michelle Obama, the former first lady. She's been invited to speak at the White House. She's been just given so many awards. And as I mentioned earlier, she has spoken in regards both on the public policy side, farm to school bill, you name it. Donna has done it. And the reason we wanted Donna to join us today is because Donna is actually going to join on March 24th, our Healthier School Community Forum, which we hope that you guys will sign up for by going to genyouthnow.org, and you can sign up right there. Hold on one second. Let me try this again. And I have faith that it's going to work. So let's just stick with her. I understand, especially in the daytime schools. There she is.
I don't know.
Okay, Donna, just do me a favor. Just lift your camera. I see. Yeah, brilliant.
Okay,
great. And you know, it's a little fuzzy. Yeah, it's a little fuzzy, but everything's a little fuzzy. You look fabulous.
All right,
so
well, let me start all over with what we started doing. I'm sorry. So March 17th, we started with our buses out in the community, and we had no idea that we would be doing this for a solid year. So all summer long, we were feeding breakfast, lunch, and supper to our very food insecure community, 4,000 meals a day. 30 buses went out, 900 stops. We had coolers upon coolers upon coolers. We were getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning trying to get food together to feed our families, because we knew that our kids they count on breakfast and lunch at school and supper. And if we did not do that, we knew that they would be very vulnerable. And, you know, in order to learn, whether it's, you know, in person or at home, you have to have healthy food. Can't just have food. My friends go, "Oh, Donna, they had something to eat." It doesn't matter if they had potato chips and Coke. You cannot learn on potato chips and Coke. You need healthy food. So we were able to provide healthy food to them all summer long. And then school started and our world flipped all over again. And so we've been in person since September. So we were feeding halftime. We were giving them breakfast and lunch, and we would be giving them a bag of food to go home for the next day. They were just coming 50% of the time. And then on Friday, half of our kids were virtual. We were having to do these virtual boxes that would feed the kids for a whole week. So we're putting in a half a gallon of white milk, a half a gallon of chocolate milk. We're putting in whole heads of broccoli, a whole bunch of asparagus. We're putting in hamburger patties, pizza, all this stuff in the weekly boxes. So my poor staff was cooking food, bagging up food to go home, and then making these weekly boxes. And we have not stopped feeding the kids since March 17th. Unlike the teachers who got a break, everybody else, we'd have pandemics and they'd go home for 2 weeks. We never stopped because, Alexis, we knew these kids were counting on this food. So we just went on and on and on. Even though people were getting sick and caught COVID and people on the buses caught COVID, we'd have to shut down a bus. We'd have to shut down a route. We'd get 24 hours notice when we were told for 2 weeks, this whole group is quarantined. No matter what it took, we did it. And my staff rose to the occasion, came to work every single day, no matter what.
You are simply remarkable. I want you to repeat those numbers for just a second. Tell folks again how many meals you served a day, how many buses went into the community. Say that one more time.
We were serving 4,000 children a day. We had 30 buses that stopped over 900 places in the community. We have 836 square miles in our community. Alexis, for some of my kids, they have to drive 25 miles to a school, to the closest school. So we don't have transportation in our community. So they couldn't get to the grocery store. They were afraid of going to the grocery store. So if we did not have these buses going out feeding these kids, I dare to think and dread to think what these kids would have been eating.
So give me a sense, because one of the things, Donna, and I should mention this to folks, here at Gen Youth, we 1 year ago created a COVID-19 emergency school meal delivery fund where we could provide folks like Donna the resources for the transportation, the containers for cooling, grab and go, so they could put those meals onto the bus to then go deliver them. But, so Donna was absolutely influential from day one in how we attack the problem. And when she jumped in, she jumped in immediately. But Donna, for a second, help people understand, you normally deliver these meals in the cafeteria. What was the process by which overnight you take them from the cafeteria out onto these 30 buses? Did you select areas in the community where you told folks that they could go and pick them up? What were the resources you need? How many routes? You just talked about 850 plus miles in your community. How did you do it?
Well, we have a fantastic transportation department, and I relied on him very heavily. And I knew when this was coming that we were going to have to be doing this. So I went to him and I said, Reverend Dishman, I need to know that we need to be ready with the bus drivers. We need to be ready with the assistants on the bus, because not only were we preparing the meals, those people on the bus had to bag up all those meals so when the kids came to the bus, they could hand off the meals. So there was no way to bag them all up and put them on the buses. So we needed coolers. We bought, with the generous donation that we got from Gen Youth, we could not have done it without you. We went out and bought 300 coolers. We couldn't have done it without you. And so then he gave us the routes. We knew exactly where to go. But then when school hit, we started needing carts to take the food down to the classroom, because it sort of just kind of continued. It didn't stop with needing those coolers. Then we started doing the weekly boxes where we're feeding 1,000 kids that are staying home. We're giving them each a gallon of milk. So they get a half a gallon of white milk and a half a gallon of chocolate milk. So I have a tractor trailer of milk delivered to me every Friday. I have no place to store that milk in my facility. I have 2,000 half gallons of milk. Just think about the room to store that. So I then bought 300 more coolers to store all the milk in so that we could give the milk out to the families that are coming Friday to get the boxes. So the money was just a lifesaver for us, because we could not come up with the funds. Like, most school districts were losing money all year long because they were not feeding kids in the classroom. The kids were not coming to school, so they're losing money. But then when they did start back, we needed to have masks. We needed to have face masks. We needed to have extra sanitizing solution. We needed to have extra gloves, extra aprons, all these extra materials. And without the generous grants that we got from several different people, we could not have done it. I mean, the school board's struggling with trying to do what they're trying to do. We can't go to them and ask them to give us money. So it was really a challenge.
Donna, for folks who don't understand that for a second, because you raise a very important point. I remember I joined Chris Cuomo and we talked a lot about this 1 year ago. A lot of folks don't understand, like, wait, so the school's shut, the meals are not served in the cafeteria, and that means the school loses money. Explain to folks why that is and how that's incredibly important to this conversation, because to your point, schools were already hemorrhaging and bleeding. They don't have the additional resources to pay for this equipment. And then add to it, those meals are not served. So explain that to them.
That's a great question, Alexis. I tell everybody I run 5 restaurants here in town. I have 5 schools, and I do not get a penny from the school board. So unlike the school that they get money for the whole year, whether the kid comes or doesn't come to school, I only get paid and only get reimbursement if the child shows up and eats a meal. So if the child doesn't eat breakfast, the child doesn't eat lunch, Donna doesn't get a dime. Donna is still paying all her employees, paying all their salaries, paying all their benefits, their health insurance. So I'm paying for all my employees, and no money and no revenue is coming in. So my restaurants, I was just like every other restaurant in the country. I didn't have any business. And so I was still having to pay my employees, and they could lay their employees off. I couldn't lay my employees off. They were counting on me. So I don't get paid unless a kid eats a meal with me. I get federal dollars and federal reimbursement. And so, you know, if my restaurant doesn't serve anybody, my restaurant's full. And a lot of people out of work.
And Donna, you know better than anyone what those meals mean to those kids and families. Tell me some of the personal stories and the struggles that you have heard.
Well, what I like to say is I want our kids to be healthy, not hungry. And, you know, for a lot of the millennials and a lot of the generation, they're worried about the food that they're eating. They're worried about whether it's organic and whether it's clean and whether it's sustainable. My families are worried about having enough to eat. They literally worry with their food stamps are going to run out. What happens if their car breaks down? What happens if they lose their job? They're living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. And we know research has shown that you just can't have food to learn on. In order to learn, you have to have a healthy diet. So our families have really appreciated the fact that we're sending and giving these kids really amazing, healthy food. And they have really, it's been a great boon to us for them to learn about the food that we've been giving in schools because they had no idea what we were feeding the kids. So that's been a real silver lining to all this. So it's got to be healthy.
It's a great point because if you think about it, even me, the mom of 4 kids who go to, you know, public school, I don't really, I just know like they get taken care of in the building and they get fed, but I don't really know, like maybe at the end of the day, my daughter will say, I had pizza today. I'll be like, all right, great. But I don't really know. And to your point, by being in the delivery mechanism of taking those meals to the family, at these pickup and drop off areas, moms and dads and caregivers got a better sense of like, what does Donna's team, what does this school nutritional staff, like people say, oh, the lunch lady, what do they really do for families? I mean, they got a great grasp of your role.
They have become, our lunch ladies have become superheroes, Alexis. They have become superheroes. And the kids started writing them thank you notes. We had teachers saying how much they appreciated knowing that their kids were home and they weren't coming into school and learning that we were still feeding them and that they were still getting well fed. They weren't just getting junk food. So there was a lot of love and a lot of appreciation, a lot of support. And our families all of a sudden started saying, because with this food that we were sending home, we were sending all this nutrition education. So we would send home fresh broccoli and fresh cauliflower and fresh asparagus. We'd tell them how to roast it, how to cook it, how to eat it. And they're all kind of going, we never knew our kids liked broccoli or cauliflower or asparagus, all these things. So they were really excited about what good eaters their kids were becoming. And so I think it encouraged the families to start looking into other avenues of healthy eating that they've never looked into.
What an incredible, wonderful silver lining that you and your incredible team created. I just think absolutely the world of you and what school nutrition professionals and lunch ladies have done across this country. I mean, you are truly the frontline workers. And I know you have not had a moment to pause or to breathe because essentially whether school was out of session or not, particularly in the summer months, you kept going and working 24/7. As you sit here today and the country reflects on a year ago and the majority of your kids are kind of back in a normal scenario,
right.
What are the biggest takeaways and learnings?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is that we can do anything. I've realized how resilient we are, that we can rise to any occasion. We didn't have bread. I went to Sam's and I got tortilla wraps. And so, I mean, we could figure out how to do anything. I've also learned that this was a great opportunity to do the nutrition education I always wanted to learn to do and be able to do. And so my families are learning to cook. I've been sending home recipes and they're learning to cook. And so the dietitian, I've been so excited. And when the kids come to pick up the boxes, they act like it's Christmas. They go, oh, we can't wait to get home and see what's in the box. They get so excited. And so I say, so what do you like the most about the box? The number one thing they say is the healthy food. Who knew that kids really liked healthy food? And the number two thing is the milk. They get so excited about the milk that's in the box. So I just love the fact that we're able to do some nutrition education. We're teaching families how to cook and that we can do anything. We're, like I said, we're very resilient. We're very flexible. And and no task is too insurmountable. My staff in the office, we get together and we go, okay, how are we going to work this out? And every single time they called and say, okay, we're not going to be able to do the buses on Friday. Can you do 2 meals on Thursday? I said, yes. So we went around every place all over town buying every cooler we could find so we could double up on our meals. So no challenge is too hard for us. I really have found out that we can do just about anything, and that the kids are really appreciating, and the parents are so appreciative of what we're doing.
You're amazing. I mean, if you think about it, just the innovation, the way in which you guys pivoted, you jumped in, you changed the blueprint. And oftentimes, as you and I both know, whenever we're dealing with school buildings or anything that has to do with, politics, the government, we're slow as molasses.
Right, exactly.
And this is one of those occasions where we were anything but slow.
Right.
And I just give you so much credit for what you were able to do in such a short period of time to rewrite basically rewrite the system, rewrite the supply chain. As you sit here today, Donna, I'm curious, what do you now, as you sit here, what do you still need or not have that we need to get you?
Well, I think a lot of school systems are struggling with enough storage space. They don't have enough cooler space. They don't have enough freezer space, things like that. They don't have enough carts to take out. They don't have packaging equipment. So we've had to go out and buy all these machines to package up all this food that we're sending home. So if we send home 5 chicken patties, we have to package it up. So a lot of packaging equipment people need. So I think those are the things that I'm seeing people out there scrambling, trying to get. They say, we'd love to do the weekly boxes, but to store all that milk and to store all that food, we just don't have the storage capacity to do it. A lot of schools around the country don't have kitchens. They really don't have kitchens, which is really unbelievable. So I think the equipment needs are huge.
That's super, super helpful as we think about moving forward, because here at Gen Youth, with our COVID-19 Emergency School Meal Delivery Fund, we're proud that we've been able to support over 10,000 schools like you. We've been able to, dispense, essentially 20 million in grant requests in kind and cash to make that happen. But, as I sit here, we still have 10,000 schools that have requests in, and largely for the reasons that you're talking about, Donna, because the job is not over. It's far from over. And as you know, given the degree of hunger and need, and that's where I kind of want to leave you before we close here on the forum coming up in a couple of weeks. Just the degree of need of kids and families who did not ever think that they needed a school meal for their sustenance and daily nutrition. Donna, speak to the degree of need you've seen.
It has been unbelievable. I mean, I've seen people get our boxes in these really nice cars, and they say to me, I'm so grateful for this, because you cannot imagine what a struggle it has been for us. People are laid off. Mothers are having to stay home to help with their kids. Their hours have been cut. It just has been amazing to see people that I never dreamed would need help and would come for help. It has been a humbling experience. I had a grandmother show up. She is taking care of 11 of her grandchildren that are learning virtually. And she said, Donna, without this food, I could not do it. She said, I don't have full custody. I don't have access to food stamps. This has been the biggest blessing. I've had parents tell me they're taking care of their friends' children parents are trying to work. They're trying to pull kids together. And they say, with this food allows us to be able to do it. So the appreciation from them and the blessings, every time I'm out there giving out the boxes, they just go, bless you, bless you. You have no idea what this does. And you can tell that it's hard for them. It's hard for people who've never had to ask for help and come get free food, but they are so appreciative, and they come back every week and they just say, please tell your staff thank you. And I try and pass that along to my staff, because my staff has been working so hard, and they're getting ready to get a spring break pretty soon, and it's very much needed for them. But yes, I mean, it's so different than it's ever. The need is so great. The need is so great.
Well, Donna, I cannot tell you from the bottom of my heart, God bless you on behalf of all of us, because not only have you just been just extraordinary in the community, you've been extraordinary in advising us. We're so excited that you will be joining us on March 24th for our Healthier School Communities Forum. If anyone wants to sign up, you go to genyouthnow.org. It is for free. We would love for you to join us. We're going to tackle all kinds of topics around food insecurity, around hunger, around mental health and well-being, all these issues around race and economic division and what we're talking about, which is people needing help. Donna, so excited that you'll be joining us on March 24th. As I just quickly close here, Donna, what does Healthier School Communities, what does that mean to you?
It means that every child has access to be able to learn. And it takes more than just buses and teaching and Wi-Fi and food. There is so much, but everybody needs to have equal access. And some of our children do not have access to coming to a healthy school, because in our community, 40% of our kids don't have access to Wi-Fi. So everybody having an equal opportunity to learn and be the best that they can, be the best, have the best future they can possibly have.
You're amazing. I want to put you on every podium around the world. Is that possible? Do you think I could do that with you?
My son tells me, Mom, you get to do something worthwhile every single day in your job. You get to make a difference every single day. And I do. And thank you, Alexis, for you helping all of us make a difference, because what you're doing truly helps us be able to make a difference in these families' lives. So it's a very symbiotic relationship.
Well, I'm sending you big hugs and kisses. I'm so grateful for your big, beautiful heart. Please tell your team of school nutrition professionals right there that we just cannot thank them enough for what they're doing. We're always going to be here for you in any way, shape, or form. And thank you for what you've done for us to help us get smarter. We're not going to stop. We're not going to stop until we make sure that every kid and family gets what they need. So excited to see you on March 24th at the forum. Have a lovely day, and thank you for struggling through our broadband and Wi-Fi issues. And here we are. We made it.
We did good. Thank you for hanging in there with me, and I look forward to seeing you on March 24th. You have a fabulous.
I can't wait. Thank you so much. Sending you big hugs.
Okay.